Hey everyone, this is IMAX Nation 1980 here with part 2 of my upcoming thoughts, although we're still stuck in 2011, kind of contradicting the title, but I've been recording, I tried recording it last night, but I was in such a hurry that it just didn't come out right, and you gotta remember too, when I get in like rants, because this series is gonna have a lot of rants in it, I tend to go off topic, I tend to, screw up on my words, so, nobody's perfect, but hey, at least I'm gonna try. You have to bear with me here, but yeah. So basically, I just went over the last video. I just spent the entire video ranting about the parental response to Rango, and I talked about Rio, and I thought it was fun, a little derivative, and I admire Blue Sky. I think they're pretty competent animation studios, and I support them. They're good. So I didn't see Kung Fu Panda 2, and it underperformed for some reason. I think it's because on its opening weekend it opened up against The Hangover Part 2, and it only grossed like $48 million. And I thought that was I thought that was very disappointing. I was expecting it to at least pull in $70 million for its opening weekend, but I was hoping that on the second and third weekend that it would do a little better and then make $200 million, but it's only coughed up about $163 million as of now. I have no idea why this film underperformed. I think it was either because the marketing was bad or it was released at the wrong time. And I don't know if anybody really asked for a sequel to Kung Fu Panda. I mean, I know the first one was popular and considered one of DreamWorks' better films. I have yet to see the first Kung Fu Panda, but hopefully I'll be seeing it soon. I'll probably blind buy it or something. I'll probably get 1 and 2 when 2 comes out on Blu-ray, whenever that'll be. Probably around like September or October maybe. So worldwide, of course, Kung Fu Panda 2 has done better. It's I don't think it's even topped the first one worldwide yet. It's coming close, but I don't think it will surpass it by much. It's too bad because it was supposed to be a really good sequel, but maybe it's a good thing because DreamWorks a long time ago was planning to go up to Kung Fu Panda 6. So I think with Kung Fu Panda 2 underperforming, they'll probably just leave it as a trilogy or something like that, and then they won't do 4, 5, and 6. And for the better, because I really want DreamWorks to focus more on non-sequel films, and we're not getting an original film until 2012 winter. And then, of course, I saw Cars 2, and this was the first time a Pixar film ever disappointed. I was ever disappointed with a Pixar film. And first of all, I love the first Cars. I'm not part of the whole bandwagon Cars is the worst Pixar movie ever. I don't think it's weaker than any of their other films. I think it's a great film. And I think, it's one of John Lasseter's more personal projects. That's why I really like it. Cars 2, on the other hand, feels like Pixar just saying, screw it, let's just make this and get it over with. Unfortunately, I would have preferred if they did a better job on it, and I could go on and on about what I could have fixed if I was the director of it or whatever. Personally, I probably would have gotten rid of the whole spy plot or kept it in the background for the most part. None of this Mater being mistaken for a spy business. Focus more on Lightning McQueen and Mater's friendship and the Radiator Springs gang and the race around the world. I mean, for a movie about a World Grand Prix, there wasn't really that much racing in the movie. The race scenes were so short. It's too bad because they could have really made some really good racing scenes, lots of visual thrills, lots, like the Tokyo race. There could have been lots of color, lots of great camera movements. They could have done a really good job on that, but instead, most of the race sequences are overshadowed by what's going on with the bad guys and the villains. I thought the story was an absolute mess. The environmental message was very preachy. I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff, well, no offense, but some people might say, yeah, well, Wall-E was an environmental film. Not really. If you dig a little deeper, the film is really about, over-reliance on technology and, mass consumerism. It's not really a go green movie. I never thought that ever since I first saw it, and this is coming from a moderate conservative here. Okay, well, I'm not going to talk anymore about politics, because you know what? That gets people into hot waters, and all I'm going to say is to each his own. If you thought Wall-E was preachy, then fine. I didn't think it was. but I thought Cars 2 was preachy. I think they could have gotten rid of the big oil message, but that's just me. I mean, I have nothing against, alternative fuel or anything. I just don't like being preached to, that's all. It was like Happy Feet, and I thought that movie was preachy too. But that's just me. I'm not saying my opinion's right, but, it's my opinion. To each his or own. So, moving on. Cars 2 has underperformed probably because audiences, detected that it was kind of a lazy film and it was kind of just made, to sell toys, which is something Pixar did not do with Toy Story 2 or Toy Story 3 or any of their other films. You see, Cars 2 felt like a commercial product, kind of like a DreamWorks movie or a Disney film made under Michael Eisner. But, I'm still going to get the Blu-ray. It was, the visuals were amazing and it was still entertaining. I still enjoyed it. But I just think that they should have. I mean, Mater dominated the whole thing. I don't hate Mater. I think he's a funny character, but he gets old after a while. I mean, if you did the same thing with Lightning McQueen, he would get old after a while. It'd be like doing a Toy Story sequel where Buzz Lightyear takes up 90% of the movie. All right. I think another reason why Cars 2 didn't do so well was because, parents complained yet again that it was not for their kiddles. I mean, they did the same with Rango, and they're doing the same for Cars 2. They're complaining that Cars 2 is way too intense and violent for their children. I mean, one complaint I can understand is that the first Cars was a very peaceful movie. It was, it was probably the most accessible to the younger audiences than most of Pixar's other films, while Cars 2 is more of an action film. It's more in line with something like The Incredibles, and I was surprised when it got a G rating, but I think parents should have known by the trailers that it was going to be an action movie, and it wasn't going to be, it wasn't going to be like the first film. But most people, most parents just like to complain. I mean, they complain that the incinerator scene in Toy Story 3 traumatized their kids, or they didn't like any of the action scenes in Up or whatever. You see, these kinds of parents have always been the thorn in animation side, not just Disney, but whenever an animated film comes along that's a family movie and it's, more on the adult side, kind of like Rango or any of the Pixar films, then they complain. I mean, parents have complained with almost every Disney Pixar film imaginable, and almost every Disney film in particular. And, it all stems from the whole animation is for children mindset. I mean, how many times do animators and animation studios have to say this? Animation's not a kid's medium, and Disney and Pixar and all those studios make films for family audiences, not just little kids. I mean, I don't know. There's only, movies made for really little kids, they're obvious, but most movies are made, for kids, who can understand them. They don't talk down to kids. I don't want to rant anymore, but I'm just saying, you see, with Cars 2 and the first Cars, of course, on the surface from the marketing, they look like kiddie stuff. Not to me, of course, I know better, it's from Pixar, but to, most people, it looks like a kiddie thing, and that's the problem. With every Pixar film that comes out, they say, it's a kid's film, but it's not. It's a family film. There's a big difference, and I'm sick and tired of having to explain the difference. A kid's film is made just for little children and not for anyone over the age of, 6 or 7, while a family film can appeal to children while also appealing to adults, and that's what every Disney film is. Same with, films like Wizard of Oz and stuff like that, and the movies of the 80s that Spielberg did, like E.T. and stuff like that. Those are family films. They are not children's films. If you want to see a children's film, just, look at, like the Wiggles movie or whatever, or the Thomas movie. Those are children's movies. Those are made for children. But the Pixar films are made for all ages. Same with every other animation studio out there in this country. I know in Japan they aim more for teenagers and adults, but over here in America, most of the animated films are family films. And unfortunately, people perceive stuff like Cars 2 and even Rango as little kid stuff that they can march their kids into. Like, yeah, this is going to be good for the kids. They got to check the ratings before they take their kids into the movies. And I know Cars 2 was rated G, but, I never understood the whole G rating thing, all audiences admitted. But there's a lot of G-rated films that have scared the bejesus out of kids in the past. I mean, There were kids who were scared of the Disney classics, The Wizard of Oz, like the Don Bluth movies of the 80s, they all had dark moments. I'm surprised that, the G rating, I don't know, it just really doesn't make any sense. I mean, yeah, general audiences, families, but not all people, like, not all little children can handle movies like that. I'm just saying. I don't know, the rating system's all screwed up. I mean, the King's Speech gets an R rating for a scene of a couple F bombs. I mean, come on, that film should have been PG-13. It's a great film that a lot of people should see. But yeah, I'm going off topic here. You can think that I'm wrong all you want, but you know what? It's my opinion. You have your opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. So, yeah, Cars 2, I'm not going to worry about Pixar's future. A lot of people, I don't know, I just see a couple people on the internet posting, oh no, Pixar's going downhill, that's it, this is the end. I don't know. Have you seen Brave yet? No. Until you see Brave, then you can decide what Pixar's future is going to be like. Same with Monsters University and the two Untitled movies coming out in 2013 and 2014. And don't forget, they're working on ambitious projects like John Carter, which is coming out in March, and they're also working with Brad Bird and Warner Brothers on 1906, whenever that comes out. Right now, Brad Bird is, busy with other projects, most notably Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, which I really want to see. I want to see how he handles his first live-action movie. Anyways, that's what I thought of Cars 2. It's the first Pixar film that I was disappointed by. I bumped my grade down to C. I gave it a B minus, but now I give it a C. It's an average movie, but it's not the awful film that some of the critics are making it out to be. Remember, Rotten Tomatoes, some people use that as kind of like the gauge for the film's quality. Like, people say, oh, so it's 38% good. No, just 38% of what the critics gave it. Some people don't know this, so. And I think the average score on Rotten Tomatoes for Cars 2 was a 6.5, so that isn't an F on my scale. It wasn't an absolute failure. It was still a decent, passable film, and it was a lot better than, what most animation studios have to offer these days. I think so, and I'm certainly getting the Blu-ray. I mean, if you didn't like Cars 2, that's fine, and if you hated Cars 2, that's fine. But if you loved Cars 2 and you think that my grade is a little too harsh, then that's fine. These are just my personal thoughts. I mean, the whole purpose of these videos is to really start discussion, talk about the different kinds of, our opinions on the animated films that are coming out now and what's coming out in the future. So that's all I've seen for 2011, and of course I haven't seen anything like Romeo and Juliet, Mars Needs Moms, Kung Fu Panda 2, or The Smurfs. I need to see Kung Fu Panda 2. The rest I'm not interested in, but in the next video I'm going to talk about what, the future now, because, the next big animated film coming out is Puss in Boots, I believe, and that comes out November 4th. So, yeah, thanks for watching. I'm sorry that it took 2 parts to get past what's going on now in animation, but better late than never. Like I said, it might take up to 10 videos. Who knows? Thanks for watching. Please leave your, tell me what you think. What are your opinions? We can agree to disagree, anything. What was the best animated film of the year? And do you think 2011's animation, schedule is not very good? Like, if you think that most of the animated films we got this year were nothing special. Anything. So, thanks for watching. See you in part 3.